I'm Elena, and I'm so incredibly happy that you are here with me today for what I believe is going to be one of our most transformative sessions yet. If you have been following our channel, you know that we don't just memorize words here. We live them, we breathe them, and we learn to feel them just like a native speaker does. Today, we are tackling one of the biggest, scariest monsters in the English language, which are phrasal verbs. But we are not going to do it the boring way. I am not going to give you a list of 50 verbs and ask you to memorize them, because we both know that method simply does not work in the long run. Instead, we are going to learn through the power of storytelling. I want you to get comfortable. Perhaps grab a cup of tea or coffee and prepare your mind, because for the next hour or so, I am going to tell you a story. It is a story about a character named Leo and a chaotic, unpredictable journey he decides to take. As we move through Leo's adventure, we are going to encounter phrasal verbs naturally, exactly where they belong in context. I will be pausing the story frequently to break down these verbs, explain the nuance of why we used that specific combination of words, and then we will practice them together right there and then. This is an immersion technique designed to glue these phrases into your long-term memory. By the end of this video, you won't just know what these verbs mean, you will know how to use them to paint pictures with your speech. So, if you are ready to master the art of the phrasal verb, let's take a deep breath in, let it out, and let's begin our story. Our story begins on a Tuesday morning, a morning that felt heavier than most for our protagonist, Leo. The alarm clock on his bedside table buzzed aggressively at 6 a.m. Leo groaned, reached out a hand blindly, and turned off the noise. He lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, trying to summon the energy to get up. Now, let's pause right here for just a second. We have our first two very common, very essential phrasal verbs, turn off and get up. Notice the sequence here. First, he turned off the alarm. To turn off means to stop a machine or a device from working, usually by pressing a button or flipping a switch. You turn off the lights, you turn off the TV, and in this case, you turn off the alarm. But then we have this struggle to get up. I want you to pay close attention to the difference between waking up and getting up, because students confuse these all the time. Leo was already awake. His eyes were open and his brain was active, but he hadn't physically left the bed yet. To get up is the physical action of rising from a lying or sitting position to a standing one. You can wake up at 7, but not get up until 7:30. I want you to try saying that sentence with me to feel the difference. Listen to the rhythm. I woke up early, but I didn't want to get up. Let's try that together. Ready? I woke up early, but I didn't want to get up. Excellent. Feel how the get connects to the up. Get up. It almost becomes one word. Back to Leo. He finally threw the covers aside and got up. He walked to the window and looked out at the gray, rainy street. He had been putting off this decision for months, but he knew he couldn't delay it any longer. He had to quit his job. Let's look at that phrase, putting off. This is a beautiful, slightly emotional phrasal verb. To put something off means to postpone it, to delay doing something, usually because it is difficult, unpleasant, or scary. We all do this. We put off going to the dentist. We put off studying for a difficult exam. In Leo's case, he was putting off a life-changing decision. I want you to think about something you have been avoiding recently. Is there a phone call you need to make? A project you need to start? I want you to say this sentence out loud, filling in the blank with your own situation. The sentence structure is, I need to stop putting off, and then your task. For example, I need to stop putting off my tax return. Go ahead, say it now. I need to stop putting off. Good. Do you feel the weight of that? Putting off carries a sense of procrastination and burden. Leo turned away from the window. He needed coffee before he could face the day. He went into the kitchen, took out a mug from the cupboard, and switched on the kettle. While the water boiled, he thought about his boss, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Henderson was a man who always looked down on people he considered inferior. Leo hated the way Mr. Henderson spoke to the staff. Here is a very strong, very descriptive phrasal verb, looked down on. This doesn't mean looking physically down, like looking from a balcony. It is metaphorical. To look down on someone means to think that you are better or more important than they are. It implies arrogance and superiority. It is the opposite of looking up to someone, which means to admire them. Imagine someone with their nose in the air, thinking they are the king or queen of the world. That person looks down on others. Let's practice the intonation here because it usually carries a tone of judgment. Listen to how I say it. He always looks down on us. There is a sharpness to it. Try it with me. He always looks down on us. One more time with feeling. He always looks down on us. Very good. It is crucial to understand that phrasal verbs often carry emotional baggage, and look down on is definitely one of them. Leo drank his coffee quickly, got dressed, and set off for work. The phrase set off is one of my favorites for storytelling because it sounds much more adventurous than simply saying he left. To set off means to start a journey. It implies movement, beginning, and going towards a destination. You set off for work, you set off on an adventure, you set off for the airport. It brings a dynamic energy to the sentence. Leo didn't just leave, he set off. He was in motion. However, Leo's journey didn't go smoothly. About halfway to the office, his old car started making a strange noise. It coughed, spluttered, and then, right in the middle of the intersection, it broke down. Oh, the nightmare of every driver. To break down means that a machine or a vehicle stops working due to a mechanical fault. But here is where English gets fascinating. We can also use break down for people. If a person breaks down, it means they lose control of their emotions and start crying uncontrollably, usually due to stress or sadness. So, in this moment, the car broke down, and honestly, Leo felt like he was going to break down too. Let's practice this double meaning because context is everything. I am going to give you 2 sentences. I want you to repeat them and notice how the context changes the image in your mind. Sentence number 1. The bus broke down on the highway. Your turn. The bus broke down on the highway. Good. Now sentence number 2. She broke down when she heard the news. Try that. She broke down when she heard the news. Can you see the difference? In the first, it is mechanical failure. In the second, it is emotional collapse. This versatility is what makes phrasal verbs so powerful. So there was Leo, sitting in a car that had just broken down, with horns honking behind him. He felt the stress building up. He took his phone out to call up a towing company. When we say call up, it is very similar to call, but call up can sound a bit more deliberate, like you are initiating a specific request or summoning someone. He called up the mechanic, and they told him it would take an hour for someone to show up. Here is another gem, show up. To show up means to arrive or appear, but often it implies that the arrival was expected, or perhaps late or uncertain. We often use it when we are annoyed. I waited for hours, but he never showed up. Leo sat on the curb, waiting for the tow truck to show up, and realized this was a sign. The universe was telling him to stop going to a job he hated. He decided that as soon as he got to the office, he would hand in his resignation. To hand in means to submit something to a person in authority. You hand in your homework to a teacher. You hand in a report to your boss. And in this dramatic moment, you hand in your resignation. It suggests a physical transfer of paper and responsibility. Let's take a moment to shadow a longer, more complex sentence to tie these together. I want you to listen to the flow of the entire thought. His car broke down, so he decided to hand in his resignation. Notice the cause and effect. The car breaking down was the trigger. Let's try to say this fluently, linking the words together. His car broke down, so he decided to hand in his resignation. I want you to focus on the broke down and hand in. Let's try it again, slightly faster. His car broke down, so he decided to hand in his resignation. Excellent work. Eventually, the tow truck did show up. Leo got a ride to the mechanic, left his car there, and took a taxi to his office. He was late. Very late. He walked into the building and ran into his colleague Sarah in the lobby. Now, pay attention here. Leo did not physically collide with Sarah. He didn't hit her. To run into someone means to meet them by chance, unexpectedly. You are walking down the street and suddenly, oh, there is your friend from high school. You ran into them. It is a pleasant, or sometimes unpleasant, surprise encounter. Leo, Sarah exclaimed, where have you been? Mr. Henderson is looking for you. To look for is simple yet essential. It means to try to find something or someone. Sarah continued, he's in a bad mood. I wouldn't bring up the sales report if I were you. Here we have bring up. In a conversation, to bring up a topic means to introduce it or mention it. Sarah is warning Leo not to mention, not to introduce the topic of the sales report. To bring something up can be risky if the topic is sensitive. Think about a time you wanted to discuss a difficult topic with a partner or a friend. You might say, I didn't know how to bring it up. It is about raising a subject from the silence into the conversation. Leo thanked Sarah and took a deep breath. He walked towards Mr. Henderson's office. He wasn't going to bring up the sales report. He was going to bring up his freedom. He knocked on the door and heard a gruff voice shout, "Come in." Leo opened the door. Mr. Henderson was sitting behind his massive desk, looking through some papers. He didn't even look up. To look up here literally means to raise one's eyes. It showed his disrespect. But look up has another meaning too. If you don't know a word, you look it up in the dictionary. You search for information. But in this specific scene, Mr. Henderson simply refused to raise his eyes. You're late, Mr. Henderson said, still reading. We have a meeting to sort out the budget issues. Sort out. This is a wonderful, typically British but universally understood phrasal verb. To sort out means to organize, resolve, or fix a problem. You sort out a mess. You sort out a misunderstanding. You sort out the budget. It implies creating order from chaos. Leo stood firm. I'm not here to sort out the budget, Mr. Henderson. I need to talk things over with you. To talk over means to discuss a problem or a plan thoroughly. It implies a back-and-forth conversation to reach an understanding. Actually, Leo corrected himself, feeling a surge of adrenaline. I'm not here to talk it over. I'm here to tell you I'm done. I'm giving up this position. The room went silent. To give up means to quit, to stop doing something, often something habitual or something you have been trying to do. You can give up smoking, give up trying to learn to juggle, or give up a job. It is a phrase of finality. Mr. Henderson finally looked up. His face went red. "You can't just walk out," he sputtered. "Who is going to take over your projects?" Take over. This means to accept responsibility for something from someone else. When a manager leaves, a new manager takes over. When a king dies, the prince takes over. It is about the transfer of control. Leo smiled. He felt lighter than he had in years. "I'm sure you will figure it out," Leo said. Figure out means to understand or solve something through thinking. It is the mental version of sorting out. "You'll figure it out" is a way of saying, you will find the solution, and it is not my problem anymore. Leo turned around and walked out of the office. He didn't wait for an elevator. He took the stairs. He felt like he was floating. He had finally gone through with it. To go through with something means to complete a difficult or unpleasant action that you promised or planned to do. He had planned it. He was scared, but he went through with it. He walked out of the building and into the fresh air. The rain had stopped. The sun was trying to break through the clouds. Leo took his phone out again. He wasn't going to call the office. He was going to call his travel agent. It was time to get away. To get away means to escape, usually for a holiday or vacation. He needed to get away from the city, from the stress, from everything. He was ready to start over. Now, before we continue with Leo's journey to the airport, let's pause for our first practice loop. I am going to describe a situation, and I want you to shout out the correct phrasal verb from the story we just heard. Are you ready? Situation 1. You are sleeping. Your alarm clock makes a noise. You want the noise to stop. What do? You turn it off. Situation 2. You are lying in bed. You physically leave the bed and stand up. You get up. Situation 3. You have a difficult project. You don't want to do it today, so you decide to do it next week. You are putting it off. Situation 4. You are driving. The engine smokes and the car stops. The car broke down. Situation 5. You meet a friend by accident in the supermarket. You ran into them. How did you do? If you got those right, you are already building the neural pathways to fluency. Now, let's take a short breath because Leo is about to embark on a trip that goes terribly, terribly wrong. Leo waved at a passing taxi, and miraculously, it stopped. He threw his bag into the back seat and told the driver, "The airport, please, Terminal 2. The drive was quiet, allowing Leo's heart rate to finally slow down. When they arrived at the departure curb, the driver pulled over to the side. "I can drop you off right here," the driver said. Leo paid the fare, thanked him, and stepped out. Let's pause immediately on this essential travel phrase, drop off. To drop someone off means to take them to a place by car and leave them there. It is the opposite of picking someone up. Think about your daily routine. Do you drop your kids off at school? Does your partner drop you off at the station? It implies a brief stop to let someone exit. I want you to practice this with me. Imagine you are in a car with a friend and you see your destination. You want to tell them it is okay to stop. You say, "You can drop me off here." Try that. "You can drop me off here." Good. It's casual, polite, and very common. Leo entered the terminal. It was crowded. People were rushing everywhere, dragging suitcases, shouting into phones. He looked at the giant electronic board to find out which counter he needed. To find out simply means to discover information. He saw that his flight to a remote island, he had booked it spontaneously on his phone during the taxi ride, was leaving from counter B. He walked over to the airline desk to check in. Now, check in is a phrase you likely know, but let's deepen it. You check in at an airport to register your presence for the flight. You also check in at a hotel when you arrive. However, there is a nuance here. In the modern world, we often check in online. But if you have luggage, you still need to go to the desk. Leo had one large bag to check in. Interestingly, when we talk about the bag itself, checking a bag means giving it to the airline to be put in the cargo hold. So Leo stood in line, waiting to check in. The line was moving incredibly slowly. It seemed like every passenger ahead of him had a complicated problem. He was being held up. This brings us to a phrase that expresses frustration perfectly: held up. To hold up means to delay or block progress. If you are late for a meeting, you might apologize by saying, "Sorry I'm late, I got held up in traffic." It suggests that the delay was not your fault. Something external stopped you. I want you to shadow this apology because it is one of the most useful professional phrases you can learn. Imagine you walk into a meeting 10 minutes late. You don't want to give a long excuse. You just say, "Apologies, I got held up." Simple, professional, effective. Let's say it together. "Apologies, I got held up." One more time, sounding sincere. "Apologies, I got held up." Excellent. Finally, Leo reached the front of the line. The agent looked tired. Leo handed over his passport. "Did you pack this bag yourself?" she asked. Leo nodded. "Okay, please put it on the scale." She tagged it, and the conveyor belt whisked it away. "Here is your boarding pass. You need to fill out this immigration form before you go through security." Leo took the form. To fill out, or sometimes fill in depending on whether you are speaking American or British English, means to complete a document with information. Name, address, passport number. You fill out a form. You fill out an application. Leo found a quiet corner, took a pen, and filled out the form. Then, he headed towards the security checkpoint. This is always the most stressful part of the airport experience. He grabbed a plastic tray. He had to take off his jacket, take off his belt, and take off his shoes. We discussed take off briefly before, but let's look at the polysemy, the multiple meanings, here. In this moment, to take off means to remove clothing. You take off your hat, you take off your glasses. But in just a few hours, Leo's plane is going to take off. In that context, it means to leave the ground and start flying. Same words, completely different image. One is downward removal, the other is upward motion. Context is your best friend in English. So Leo is standing there in his socks, holding his tray. He pushes his tray onto the belt and walks to the metal detector. The security officer waves his hand and says, "Go ahead, go through." To go through means to pass from one side to the other, entering and exiting. But go through is also a heavy emotional phrase. If you experience a difficult time in your life, you say, "I am going through a lot right now." It implies enduring a process. Leo was literally going through the scanner, but emotionally, he was going through a major life transition. He stepped through. The machine beeped. He checked his pockets, took out his keys, and went through again. Silence. He breathed a sigh of relief. He collected his shoes, put his belt back on, and grabbed his bag. He was officially in the departure lounge. Now, Leo had about 2 hours to kill. He decided to look around the duty-free shops. To look around means to browse or explore an area without a specific destination or goal. You walk, you observe, you enjoy. You can look around a shop, look around a new city, or look around a house you might buy. As he was looking around the perfume section, casually smelling scents he would never buy, he heard an announcement. Flight 404 to Paradise Island has been put back by 2 hours. Leo froze. Put back. This is a tricky one. In this context, to put back means to delay or reschedule to a later time. It is a synonym for postpone or push back. The flight was supposed to leave at 2 p.m. Now it is put back to 4 p.m. Leo groaned. He found a seat near the window and sat down. He was tired. He just wanted to get on the plane. Let's talk about the difference between get in and get on, because this is a classic mistake for learners. The general rule is this: if you must crouch down or bend your body to enter the vehicle, you get in. You get in a car, get in a taxi, get in a truck. However, if the vehicle is large enough that you can walk onto it standing up, or if it is a platform like a bike or horse, you get on. You get on a bus, get on a train, get on a plane, get on a ship. So, Leo was waiting to get on the plane. He couldn't wait to be in the air, leaving his troubles behind. He was really looking forward to this vacation. Here is one of the most important phrasal verb structures in the English language. Look forward to. This phrase means to feel excited and happy about something that is going to happen in the future. But there is a massive grammar trap here that catches even advanced students. Listen to the structure. I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to the trip. After to, we must use a noun or a verb ending in ing, a gerund. We never say, I look forward to see you. Never. It is always seeing. Leo was looking forward to sleeping. He was looking forward to forgetting his boss. Let's practice this because it is vital for your emails and professional life. How do you end a formal email? I look forward to hearing from you. Let's say that together, focusing on the ing sound. I look forward to hearing from you. Again, I look forward to hearing from you. Now, let's make it personal. Think of something nice you are doing this weekend. Maybe eating pizza? I'm looking forward to eating pizza. Say your own sentence out loud right now. I'm looking forward to... Did you use the ing? I hope so. 2 hours passed slowly. Finally, the gate agent picked up the microphone. We are now ready to start boarding. Leo jumped up. He grabbed his carry-on bag and joined the queue. He scanned his ticket, walked down the jet bridge, and finally got on the plane. He found his seat, 14A, a window seat. He put his bag in the overhead compartment, which we often call stowing away your luggage, and sat down. He fastened his seatbelt. The pilot's voice came over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just waiting for a few more passengers to get on, and then we will be ready to take off. There is that verb again, take off. The engines roared to life. The plane began to taxi to the runway. Leo felt the thrust of the engines pushing him back into his seat. The plane accelerated, faster and faster, until the wheels left the ground. They had taken off. Leo looked out the window as the city of London became smaller and smaller beneath him. He was leaving it all behind. But, as any good storyteller knows, you cannot run away from your problems that easily. Just as the plane reached cruising altitude and the seatbelt sign turned off, the passenger next to Leo turned to him. "Excuse me," the passenger said. "Aren't you Leo, the guy who manages the Henderson account?" Leo's blood ran cold. He couldn't believe it. He had flown thousands of miles to get away, and he had run into, remember that from the street scene? He had run into a client on the plane. I heard you were working on the budget, the man continued, oblivious to Leo's horror. We need to go over some figures. To go over means to review or examine something carefully. Leo wanted to scream. Instead, he forced a smile. He couldn't get away. Not yet. Let's pause our story there and enter our second practice loop for the airport section. I am going to give you the definition. You give me the phrasal verb. 1. To register at the airline counter or a hotel. You. Check in. 2. To delay someone or make them late. You. Hold them up. 3. To complete a form with your details. You. Fill it out. 4. To remove your shoes or clothes. You. Take them off. 5. To enter a plane, train, or bus. You. Get on. 6. To feel excited about a future event. You. Look forward to it. 7. To review or examine details or numbers. You. Go over them. How does that feel? Can you visualize the airport? Can you feel the stress of the security line and the relief of sitting down? That feeling is what locks the language into your brain. Now we move into the arrival phase. For 6 hours, the client, whose name was Mr. Baines, talked about spreadsheets. He talked about profit margins. He talked about quarterly projections. Leo didn't want to be rude, so he just nodded and put up with it. Here is a major phrasal verb, put up with. This is a 3-part phrasal verb, which makes it sound quite advanced, but the meaning is simple. To put up with someone or something means to tolerate or endure something unpleasant without complaining. You might put up with a noisy neighbor. You might put up with a slow computer. In relationships, we often say, I don't know how she puts up with him, meaning he is annoying, but she stays with him. I want to practice the rhythm of this because 3-part verbs can be tricky. The stress is usually on the up. Put up with. Listen to the sentence. I can't put up with this noise. Now you try it. Imagine there is a construction site next to your house. Say it with frustration. I can't put up with this noise. Good. Leo decided to put up with Mr. Baines because he knew that soon they would land. Finally, the pilot announced their descent. The plane touched down smoothly. As soon as the seatbelt sign turned off, everyone stood up immediately. Leo grabbed his bag, said a very quick goodbye to Mr. Baines, and rushed to the door to get off the plane. We talked about get on earlier. Get off is the opposite. You get off the bus, get off the train, get off the plane. It is the action of leaving a large vehicle. Leo walked through the jet bridge and was hit by a wall of heat. He had arrived. He followed the signs to baggage claim to pick up his suitcase. We discussed drop off earlier. Now we have pick up. In the context of travel, to pick up means to collect. You collect your bag from the carousel. But pick up is one of the most versatile verbs in English. If you lift a pen from the floor, you pick it up. If you learn a language naturally without studying, you pick it up. For example, I picked up some Spanish when I lived in Mexico. And if you are single and you try to find a romantic partner in a bar, you are trying to pick someone up. So context is absolutely vital here. Leo was definitely not trying to pick up Mr. Baines. He just wanted his bag. He watched the carousel go round and round. Finally, his blue suitcase appeared. He grabbed it, he picked it up, and walked through customs. He walked outside to the taxi stand. A driver waved at him. "Do you need a ride?" the driver asked. "Hop in." Hop in is a very casual way of saying get in. Leo got in the taxi and gave the driver the address of the resort, the Paradise Palms Hotel. "Ah, beautiful place," the driver said. As they drove away from the airport, Leo looked out the window. The scenery was stunning: palm trees, blue ocean, sunshine. He felt his stress melting away. He began to cheer up. To cheer up means to start feeling happier. If your friend is sad, you might buy them ice cream to cheer them up. Leo was cheering up simply by looking at the ocean. They arrived at the hotel. It looked magnificent. A grand lobby with marble floors and a fountain. Leo paid the driver, who helped him take out his bags, and Leo walked to the reception desk. He was ready to check in. "Welcome to Paradise Palms," the receptionist said with a bright smile. "How can I help you?" "I'm here to check in," Leo said. "The name is Leo Miller." The receptionist typed on her computer. She frowned. She typed again. She stopped smiling. "I'm sorry, Mr. Miller," she said slowly. "I can't seem to find your reservation. Are you sure you booked with us?" Leo's heart sank. "Yes, I booked it online yesterday. I have a confirmation number." He pulled out his phone to look for the email, but, of course, his phone had no signal. He couldn't log into his email. To log in means to enter your username and password to access a system. He couldn't log in. "I'm sorry," the receptionist said. "We have been having some trouble with our system. There might have been a mix-up." Here is a great noun derived from a phrasal verb, a mix-up. To mix up means to confuse two things. If you put salt in your coffee instead of sugar, you mixed them up. A mix-up as a noun is a mistake caused by confusion or a clerical error. There was a mix-up with the booking. Leo felt the stress returning. "Well, can you just give me a room anyway? I don't care about the specific one." The receptionist looked uncomfortable. "I'm afraid we are fully booked up." Booked up. This means completely full with no vacancies. A restaurant can be booked up. A hotel can be booked up. It means there is no space left. "You have to be kidding me," Leo said. He tried to stay calm. "Please, can you look into it? Maybe there is a cancellation?" To look into something means to investigate. It is very common in business and customer service. If a customer complains, you say, "I will look into that for you." It shows you are taking action to find the cause of the problem. Let's practice this interaction because it is a survival phrase for travel. Imagine you are at a hotel desk and there is a problem. You want to be polite but firm. I want you to say, "There must be a mix-up. Can you please look into it?" Let's break that down. First part, there must be a mix-up. Try it. There must be a mix-up. Good. Second part, can you please look into it? Try it. Can you please look into it? Now, put them together. There must be a mix-up. Can you please look into it? Excellent. This phrase is magic. It puts the responsibility on them to solve the investigation without you being aggressive. The receptionist went to speak to the manager. Leo waited. He looked around the lobby. It didn't look so magnificent anymore. It looked like a prison of marble. The receptionist came back. "Mr. Miller," she said, "I have looked into it. It seems the system double-booked your room. However, we do not want to leave you with nowhere to stay. We can put you up in our overflow accommodation for tonight, and we will move you to the main hotel tomorrow." Put you up. This is different from put up with. To put someone up means to provide them with a place to sleep, usually temporarily. If your friend visits your city, you might put them up on your sofa. Don't book a hotel. I can put you up for the night. It is an act of hospitality. Leo was relieved. "Thank you," he said. "That sounds fine." "Great," she said. "The porter will show you to your room." Leo followed the porter out of the lobby, through the beautiful gardens. and then past the gardens, and then behind the kitchen, to a small wooden shack near the garbage bins. "Here we are," the porter said, opening the door. The room was tiny. It smelled slightly of old fish. The air conditioner was making a rattling noise. It turned out that the overflow accommodation was basically a shed. Turned out. We use this when the result of a situation is surprising or different from what we expected. The movie turned out to be boring. The party turned out to be fun. In this case, the luxury hotel room turned out to be a shack. Leo dropped his bag on the bed. He sat down. He wanted to cry. He had quit his job, flown across the world, sat next to a client, and now he was sleeping in a shed. He felt like giving up. But then he remembered why he came here. He came to start over. He walked to the window of the shack. Even from here, between the palm trees, he could see a tiny slice of the ocean. He decided he wasn't going to let this bring him down. To bring someone down means to make them unhappy or depress them. Don't let the bad weather bring you down. Leo took a deep breath. He decided to change into his swim shorts and go to the beach. He needed to cool off. Literally because it was hot, and metaphorically because he was angry. To cool off means to lower your body temperature, but also to become calm after being angry. "I'm so mad. I need to go for a walk to cool off." He left the shack and walked towards the beach. As he stepped onto the sand, he saw something shiny half buried near the water. He bent down and dug it up. It was an old glass bottle. But there was something inside it, a piece of paper. A message in a bottle? Leo laughed. This was too cliché. It was impossible. But curiosity got the better of him. He managed to pull out the cork. He shook the bottle until the paper fell out. He unfolded the damp piece of paper. The handwriting was faded, but he could still make it out. To make out means to manage to see, hear, or understand something that is difficult to perceive. "I can't make out what the sign says." Leo squinted. He could just make out the words. It said, "If you are reading this, stop looking for what you left behind. Look for what is right in front of you." Leo stared at the paper. It was spooky. It was exactly what he needed to hear. He looked up. Standing right in front of him, looking at the ocean, was a woman. She was wearing a sun hat and holding a camera. She dropped her camera lens cap in the sand. She didn't notice. She started to walk away. Leo had a choice. He could stay there with his mysterious note, or he could go after her and return the lens cap. To go after means to pursue or follow. He shoved the note in his pocket, picked up the lens cap, and ran to catch up with her. To catch up means to move faster to reach someone who is ahead of you. "Excuse me," he called out. She turned around. She had the kindest eyes he had ever seen. "You dropped this," Leo said, handing her the cap. "Oh my goodness," she said. "Thank you. I would have been so upset if I lost that. I'm Clara." "I'm Leo," he said. "Nice to meet you, Leo," she smiled. "Are you staying at the Paradise Palms?" "Sort of," Leo laughed. "I'm staying in the shed behind the kitchen." Clara laughed. It was a bright, happy sound. "No way, me too. There was a mix-up with my booking as well. What are the chances?" It turned out they were neighbors in the overflow accommodation. Suddenly, the shed didn't seem so bad. "I was just about to go get a drink," Clara said. "Would you like to come along?" To come along means to accompany someone. Leo smiled. "I would love to." And just like that, the disaster was turning into something else. Let's pause our story there and enter our practice loop for this section. I am going to describe the emotions and actions, and you give me the phrasal verb. 1. Leo had to tolerate the annoying client on the plane. He had to put up with him. 2. The plane landed and Leo left the aircraft. He got off. 3. He collected his suitcase from the carousel. He picked it up. 4. The hotel made a mistake with the booking. There was a mix-up. 5. Leo asked the receptionist to investigate the problem. He asked her to look into it. 6. The hotel had no rooms left. They were booked up. 7. They provided him temporary accommodation. They put him up. 8. The room was actually a shed. It turned out to be a shed. 9. Leo managed to read the faded writing. He could make it out. 10. Leo ran to reach Clara, who was walking ahead. He tried to catch up with her. Review these phrases: mix up, look into, put up with. These are high-level, sophisticated phrases that will make you sound fluent and natural. The next morning, Leo woke up early. He didn't sleep in. To sleep in means to sleep later than usual, often on purpose. You might sleep in on a Sunday, for example. But today, Leo was too excited. He met Clara by the lobby, and they decided to set out for the highest peak on the island, Mount Verde. We used set off earlier. Set out is very similar. It means to begin a journey or a task with a specific goal in mind. They set out with high energy, carrying backpacks and water bottles. The trail started easy, winding through a lush green jungle. "You're walking fast," Leo remarked, breathing a little heavier than he expected. "I'll try to keep up." Here is a crucial phrase for any physical activity or learning process: keep up. To keep up means to move at the same speed as someone or something else so that you do not fall behind. You can keep up with a runner, you can keep up with the latest news, or you can struggle to keep up with a fast English speaker. Leo was trying to keep up with Clara, who was surprisingly athletic. As they climbed higher, the path became steeper. Roots and rocks covered the ground. "You need to watch out for those loose stones," Clara warned, pointing to the ground. To watch out is a warning. It means to be careful or vigilant about a danger. It is often used as an imperative shout, "Watch out," when a ball is flying towards someone's head. In this context, Clara was telling him to be aware of his footing. The sun rose higher and the heat became intense. They had been walking for 2 hours. Leo stopped to drink some water. He shook his bottle. It was light. Too light. "Clara," he said, looking worried, "I think I'm going to run out of water." This is perhaps one of the most commonly used 3-part phrasal verbs in existence: run out of. To run out of something means to use all of your supply so that you have none left. You can run out of milk, run out of money, run out of patience, or run out of time. Note the structure: subject plus run out of plus object. We ran out of gas. Clara checked her bottle. "I have a little bit left," she said. "We can share, but we should probably turn back." To turn back means to return in the direction you came from. It implies abandoning the goal. Leo looked up at the peak. It was so close. He didn't want to turn back. He had spent his whole life turning back when things got hard. "No," Leo said. "Let's carry on." Carry on. This is a very British, very resilient phrase. To carry on means to continue doing something, especially despite difficulties. During World War II, the famous poster said, "Keep calm and carry on." Leo wanted to carry on. Clara looked at him and smiled. Okay, she said, but we need to slow down so we don't dehydrate. To slow down is obvious, to reduce speed, but it is also excellent advice for life. They continued the hike in silence, focusing on their breathing. Suddenly, the path seemed to disappear into a thick patch of bushes. I think we've gone the wrong way, Leo said. We've wandered off the trail. To wander off means to move away from the correct path or location, usually without realizing it. Children often wander off in supermarkets. Leo and Clara had wandered off into the jungle. Panic started to set in. When we say a feeling or a season sets in, it means it begins and seems likely to continue. Winter set in. Panic set in. Don't panic, Clara said. Let's look around. We might come across a marker. To come across means to find something by chance. You don't look for it specifically, but you find it. You might come across an old photo in a drawer. They pushed through the bushes, scratching their arms, hoping to come across the path. Suddenly, Leo stepped through a large fern and gasped. Clara, look! They hadn't found the path. They had come across something better. A hidden waterfall. It was small, crystal clear, and completely secluded. I guess wandering off paid off, Clara laughed. To pay off means to yield a good result or success after a risk or effort. All their sweating and getting lost had paid off. They refilled their bottles in the cold stream, assuming it was safe, which is a risk, but this is a story, and sat by the water. They started talking. Not about the weather, but deep talk. Leo opened up to Clara. To open up means to start talking about your feelings and secrets. He told her about Mr. Henderson, about the car breaking down, about feeling stuck. Clara listened. Then she opened up too. She told him she was a photographer who had lost her inspiration. She came to the island to find it again. I feel like I've been running away from my life, Leo admitted. To run away means to escape. Maybe, Clara said. Or maybe you were running toward something, and you just didn't know what it was. They sat there for a long time. The sun began to go down. To go down means to set. We need to get back before it gets dark, Clara said. We should head back. To head back is a synonym for return, but it sounds more purposeful. The walk down was easier. They knew the way. They didn't have to rush off. To rush off means to leave in a hurry. They took their time. By the time they reached the hotel, they were exhausted, dirty, but incredibly happy. They had gotten through the hike. To get through means to survive or endure a difficult experience. As they walked into the lobby, laughing and covered in mud, the automatic doors slid open. And there, standing in the air conditioning, wearing a suit in the middle of a tropical island, was Mr. Baines, the client. Leo, Mr. Baines shouted, I've been waiting for you all day. We need to sort out these figures immediately. Leo stopped laughing. The reality of his old life was trying to catch up with him again. But this time, Leo felt different. He had climbed a mountain. He had found a waterfall. He had opened up to a stranger. He wasn't the same Leo who had handed in his resignation with shaking hands. Mr. Baines? Leo said, his voice steady. We can't talk now, Mr. Baines interrupted. I have a conference call in 10 minutes. Come to my room. Leo looked at Clara. She gave him a small nod. Leo turned to Mr. Baines. No. Let's pause right here on this cliffhanger for our third practice loop. This one focuses on movement and endurance. I will give you the concept, you give me the phrasal verb. 1. To consume your entire supply of something, like water. You run out of it. 2. To match the speed of another person. You keep up with them. 3. To be vigilant against danger. You watch out. 4. To find something by accident. You come across it. 5. To share your deep feelings with someone. You open up to them. 6. To yield a good result after effort. It paid off. 7. To continue despite difficulties. You carry on. 8. To return to where you started. You head back. Did you get those? Run out of and carry on are essential for describing life's challenges. Now, let's see the finale. Mr. Baines looked shocked. He wasn't used to people standing up to him. To stand up to someone means to defend yourself against a powerful or aggressive person. It is an act of bravery. "Excuse me?" Mr. Baines sputtered. "I said no," Leo continued. "I am on vacation. I am not working. And actually, I don't work for that company anymore. I quit." "You can't just walk away from this account," Mr. Baines yelled. To walk away means to leave a situation, often one that involves responsibility or a relationship. It implies abandonment, but sometimes walking away is the healthiest thing you can do. "I already have," Leo said calmly. "I suggest you call up Mr. Henderson. He can fill you in." Fill in. We used fill out for a form. To fill someone in means to give them the missing information or details. "I missed the meeting. Can you fill me in?" Leo was telling Baines to get the information from someone else. Mr. Baines turned red. He opened his mouth to argue, but then he looked at Leo. He saw the mud on his shoes. He saw the calmness in his eyes. He realized he couldn't talk him into working. To talk someone into something means to persuade them to do something they don't want to do. "My friends talked me into going to the party." Baines realized it was hopeless. He backed down. To back down means to withdraw a claim or demand in the face of opposition. He realized he had lost. "Fine," Mr. Baines grumbled. "I'll call Henderson." He turned and walked to the elevator. Leo let out a long breath. He felt his shoulders drop. Clara was smiling. "I think you handled that well," she said. "I think I did," Leo replied. "You need to clean up," she laughed. "You're covered in mud." To clean up means to make something clean and tidy. Leo went to his shed, which, honestly, he was starting to like, and showered. He changed into fresh clothes. He sat on the bed and thought about what had just happened. He had finally broken free from his past. That evening, Leo and Clara met for dinner. They sat by the ocean, watching the waves roll in. To roll in describes the continuous, rhythmic arrival of waves, or sometimes fog or clouds. It's a peaceful image. They started talking about the future. "So," Clara asked, "what are you going to do when you go back?" To go back means to return to your place of origin. Leo paused. He looked at the palm trees. He looked at the stars. "I don't think I want to go back," he said. "I think I want to stay on." To stay on means to continue to stay in a place after others have left, or after the expected time. "Everyone left the party, but I stayed on to help clean up." "Stay on?" Clara asked. "Here?" "Why not?" Leo said. "I was looking at the town. They have a lot of tourists, but no good coffee shops. I always wanted to open a cafe. I could set one up here. To set up means to establish or start a business or organization. It is different from set out, start a journey, or set off, start a journey. To set up is to build the structure of something. Clara's eyes widened. That's a big dream. I know, Leo said. I need to work out the details. To work out means to plan, solve, or calculate. You work out a math problem. You work out a plan. But I have some savings. I can get by for a while. Get by. This is a humble but essential phrasal verb. To get by means to survive or manage with the minimum amount of resources or money. I don't earn much, but I get by. You know, Clara said, looking at her camera, I was thinking of staying on too. I found my inspiration today at the waterfall. I want to make a book of photos about this island. Leo smiled. It seems we both ended up in the same place. To end up is the verb of destiny. It describes the final result or location of a series of events, often unplanned. We took the wrong train and ended up in Paris. Leo and Clara started with a breakdown and a mix-up, and they ended up with a new life. The next few days were a whirlwind. Leo called his landlord back home and told him he was moving out. To move out means to permanently leave your house. He called his parents to break the news. He spent his days looking for a location for the cafe. He found a small, run-down building near the beach that needed to be fixed up. To fix up means to repair and decorate. One afternoon, as he was painting the walls of his new cafe, he put down his brush and looked out the window. He saw Clara on the beach, taking photos. He felt a sense of peace he had never known. He realized that the bad luck, the alarm, the car, the boss, the hotel shed, had all been necessary. When he looked back on that terrible Tuesday, he didn't feel angry anymore. To look back means to think about the past. He realized that sometimes things have to fall apart before they can fall into place. Leo walked out of the cafe. He waved at Clara. She waved back. He knew it wouldn't be easy. Running a business is hard. He would have to keep on working hard. To keep on means to continue doing something repeatedly. But he was ready. He had learned that you can't just wait around for happiness. To wait around means to stay in one place doing nothing, waiting for something to happen. You have to go out and find it. You have to stand up for yourself. And sometimes you have to let go of who you were to become who you are. And that, my friends, is the end of Leo's story. From a stressed-out office worker to a cafe owner on a tropical island. It's a fantasy, perhaps, but the language we learned along the way is very real. Let's do one final practice loop to seal the most important verbs from the finale into your memory. 1. To defend yourself against aggression. You stand up to them. 2. To persuade someone to do something. You talk them into it. 3. To establish a new business. You set it up. 4. To survive with limited money. You get by. 5. To calculate a plan. You work it out. 6. To leave your house permanently. You move out. 7. To reflect on the past. You look back. 8. The final unplanned result. They ended up happy. I hope you have enjoyed this long-form narrative journey. We have covered over 50 essential phrasal verbs, not by memorizing lists, but by living through an experience. My advice to you now is to go over this video again. Listen to it while you drive, while you cook, or while you hike. Let the story help you remember the grammar. And finally, don't just study English, use it. Go out there and set up your own adventures.
I'm Elena, this is Speak Lift.
And I look forward to hearing about your success. Goodbye.